Welcome to contact information. To begin, we'll start with the contact information title bar shown here at the top. If I left click, that'll expand the title bar to show me all my contact information. And if I go back up and left click again, that'll hide majority of my contact information. Excuse me. The next field we have is print contact information. Left click on that. This is simply just a PDF of the client's contact information. You could hand this out at one of the appointments and they could verify their contact information, might make it easier for you. Over here at the far right, we have a field called individual and business. Right now it's set up as individual because we have an individual account, Jeff Case here. If I want this to be, and when I have an individual account, it also has a spouse. And along with that, I have secondary address and secondary contact. If I switch to say this individual is a business, then what happens is that the business name actually gets recorded in the last name field. So say this is Case LLC. I'm going to switch it over to business. So the first name field is no longer there. The employer ID, if I save this, will now become an EIN. So there'll only be one dash. Spouse field's gone. And now I have a primary contact, secondary, and third contact. If I switch it back over to business, to individual, remove the LLC. Now the first name field reappears, and I'll put Jeff back in there, and I save it. And now my access code becomes a social security number with 2 dashes now. Now moving on to the access code field. Typically, if you're using ADAM for taxes, then this will be a social security number. If you're using it for anything other than that, it could be a policy number, it could be a phone number. All it is a unique identifier for the client. It can be up to 10 characters, it could be numbers, it could be letters. Date of birth, just the birth date of primary contact here, and then the age will display. This icon right here would be their ID. So if you're scanning in driver's licenses in the permanent documents section, this would display here. You could actually see what their individual looks like. The red diagonal means that the ID is expired, and all that is logged in under permanent documents. And I'll refer you to that training video. PIN, that's linked to your electronic signature, and it can be 5 characters. And again, I will refer you to the electronic signature training video for more information on that. Then we move over here to the individual. This is just their first name, last name, middle initial, and extension, and we have the spouse also down here. Spouse, first name, last name, their social security number, date of birth. Here's the contact information for the primary, email, phone numbers. This email link right here, that's just going to launch like your Outlook application to pre-fill the address. Cell phone, if you have a cell phone number and a cell phone provider. If you click this cell phone link, that'll launch also Outlook, and you can send a text to that individual through your email application, but it has to be on your desktop. It can't be a web-based email application. Excuse me. The day phone number, the importance of that is this phone number located in this field will display throughout ADAM software. Say, for example, an office event section, maybe the office event called return pickup. There's one phone number field. We're actually using the day phone number to display on office events on your home page. Moving up here, kind of skip this. Blocked, if you have that checked, that's in reference to a client that you don't want to see again. That's what we refer to blocked, and it'll highlight them in a brown shade and various places throughout ADAM software, so you'll be quickly able to identify that this is a blocked client. Spanish speaking, if that one's selected, that will highlight in purple throughout ADAM, indicating that they only speak Spanish, and also email and text that go out to this individual will be in Spanish as opposed to English. You can set a lot of those up on your email template in admin. I'll refer you to that training video. Requested, that means that a specific preparer is going to do this individual's return. So Jeff may request Mark to always do his return. So if I select Mark here, so then when we're actually scheduling the appointment, Mark will automatically pre-fill in the calendar, and you'll know that it's okay for Mark to do the return for Jeff. Stop sending mailers. If this individual wants to be taken off your mailer list, check this box, and if you're using the mailer reports to generate your mailers, they will not display in that report. Stop sending email as text. If you check this box, this individual will no longer receive email or text from you. Through Adam, say for example, happy birthday wishes, or if you upload a document to them in the portal, they will not get an alert saying there's a document there if you have that box checked. Moving right above that is the password. That's the client portal password. And I'm going to refer you for more information on that to refer to the training video on client portal passwords. And we just discussed the spouse. Going down the primary address, that's typically where the individual, their main address. Secondary address, that could be a vacation home. This person, some reason, likes to vacation in Lansing. The next check, for this printing, these little printer icons, this is a printer label. So if you have a Dymo printing machine, you could print labels from here. And that would be both for your primary and your secondary address. The next field, disable contact auto data updates. That's specifically designed if you're importing EF data in your contact information from Drake Crosslink or TaxWise, and that's just a way of shutting off any data coming in. So typically we want to have, the first time you e-file a return, we want to have that contact information come through because that's current. You just did the return. But if the client say were to move or get a new phone number, we'd want to have whatever you log into Adam. So you'd want to have that shut off after the first time you e-file the return, and we actually automatically do that for you. So for the most part, just don't do anything with that box. It'll be checked automatically, and that's what it should be once the first EF data import is loaded into Adam. Secondary contact, this could be an individual that has some type of relationship with the client, and maybe they're handling all their financial needs. In this example, I show that Jeff here is 81 and Mark is his son, and he's handling his tax return needs. So he's listed here on in the contact information section, and he may have power of attorney. And you could either put that right there in the relationship field, or you could actually document down the permanent note too that he has power of attorney. And then here's his contact information. And lastly, here we have users with access to this file. If you want to give specific or limit specific users from accessing the file. Right now, let me see, if nobody is selected, everybody can access the file. If you select somebody, say I select Kevin, and I select Justin, and I save it, now Kevin and Justin can access this file, and the administrator. Administrator can access all files, and then it's going to look to see who else is selected here to access it. The only person that sees this box is the administrator, so they're the ones that have control over giving access to files or not. So if you don't care who accesses files, just leave it open. That way your receptionist can handle communications between the client related to your office, and they don't have to have the individual preparer handle all the conversations. One more thing I want to point out here, as you see how this box is expanded, now I can hide it. You actually can have this set up so it always will be expanded, and you do that in admin on your user page. So if you always want to see all the contact information, you can set that up. Once you add any secondary contact information, when you go into this page, it'll automatically be expanded, because we think then it might be appropriate that you see who the secondary contact is, that you know there is one, or that there's secondary address. So we have it automatically, it'll be expanded for that if that information's in there. Now I'm going to go over these buttons real quick. Referrals, that's linking to the referral page. That's just going to track all the referrals this individual client has sent to you. And we're going to set up a training video on that explaining that page. Save contact information, that's just make sure you save every time you enter anything in here. delete, that would be deleting this client. To delete the client, you have to first delete all the account information, link to the client, all the office events, all the transaction information, all the tasks and notes, everything linked to the client, uploads have to be removed before you can delete this client, because we don't want you to make a mistake and delete a client in error. Permanent documents, that's just going to store all your permanent documents, which are typically your IDs, Social Security cards that go year after year with a client, and we have a training video already set up for that to cover that. Client portal messages, that's your correspondence going back and forth with the client through the portal, tracking all your messages. And there's a separate page and video for that. Schedule appointment, you can just click on this link, it'll link you right to the calendar, and you can schedule appointment from within the client file. Appointments, that's just the history of this client's appointments from the time you started using Atom Calendar. So if the nice thing about this, it'll tell you, excuse me, when they normally come in, who they normally see, any notes, did they keep the appointment or not? You have a whole history of this client. Prospect messages, if this client came in as a prospect, then you'd be able to see any messages, correspondence you had going back and forth before they were converted to a client. One more thing I want to point out before we end this training video is if you're a new Atom user and we just imported all your clients into Atom, if you use Drake, Crosslink, or TaxWise, you may not see your spousal information yet. To see that, you actually have to import your EF data into Atom. So the spousal field, if you're a Drake, Crosslink, or TaxWise user, you will not be able to edit this because that data flows automatically in from your tax software once the return has been e-filed. So that's kind of an important thing to point out, the difference between the two. If you're one of those tax prep users, and if you're not, you actually can edit the spousal field. That's all I have. Thank you.